Today's video is going to be about how I put together everything to get us ready for our first term of our second year of homeschooling. If you're new here, my name is Jocelyn, and we are going to be entering into our second term, or our second year of homeschooling, my 5 and almost 7-year-old. We have my fundamental pieces here in front of us. We have the planner, we have my brain dump notebook, and then we have the list of all the curriculum that we're going to be using. Don't mind all the markings on this. I do get into that later in the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, first up we have the brain dump notebook. This has got all of the notes in it I have anytime that I find a curriculum that I want, book that I want. If I'm planning a unit study or whatever, I put everything in here. So at one point I did, well, this is getting ahead of myself. That's like overall planning. We're doing term planning here. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to start with this list. This is everything that I chose. This is our budget sheet here, what we spent on it. I have it printed out just so I could reference it when I was doing my planner. I am going to show you a clip of how I filled out the planner first. Don't mind my massive clip here. This is a planner that I created myself, and then I don't print the entire year one time, so I have lots of space here for adding pages. I actually have only through the first week printed because I want to know if it works for me before I print the whole thing. I usually do a term at a time because I will change the subjects if I need to on the sides, but I'll show you that in just a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and show you how I fill out my planner. This is my planner that I did create myself. So I've only printed out a couple pages. I haven't bound it or anything because, again, this is just so that I can start to organize for next year. So we open it up. I have my fun quote just to remember that everything is trial and error. Nothing is going to be perfect, and to give myself grace in the process. We have our calendar that I got off Time and Date. And then we have here the curriculum pages. I have printed off 2 pages, one for my son, one for my daughter. And then I printed off my sheet, my ongoing list that I do online. So this is going to be all the curriculum, and some of the curriculum we are not using on here. This was just my ongoing list, so I printed this off. So I will transfer this to both of their pages. And then we will move on to the print and prep stages. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first so I can kind of work on transferring it over to the next pages. Just an FYI, I am writing everything in erasable pen. I, at this point, don't use anything that doesn't erase, so I love these erasable pens. I am writing down my son's curriculum now, and the things that I'm writing down are not just his subjects, but I'm also writing down everything we're doing for group subjects as well, just so I have an overall view of what he is doing in a glance. And now for my daughter, I do the same thing, starting with language arts, going to math, then science, social studies, which includes our museum project and the USVI study, and then all of her electives that include both individual and group subjects. All right, so now for my favorite sheet in my planner, and that is my print and prep list. And what I do is I go through everything that's on my son's list, anything that is new or anything that is going to need prep, I write down, and that includes things that are going to need to be printed, if things need to be laminated, if things need to be organized a certain way, and also if there's any materials needed, like I needed a binder for the Pinwheels Year 2, and anything else like that I might need. And like I said, I go through every single subject, every single curriculum, and I write down every little thing that I can think of. If I need 2 copies of something, I will write down 2 copies so that I know that I have to do 2 copies. Anything that I can possibly think of, I write down. It just really helps me get all my thoughts on paper and helps me not to forget anything. The little bubbles at the bottom I was going to put for supplies needed, but I think I'm going to redo that and just keep the bubbles on the side because the list format works better for me. Once I finish with my son, I am going to flip over and do my daughter's. A lot of the subjects that we have overlap, so there's really not going to be a lot that I'm going to add for my daughter. There's no new curriculum or anything like that we are introducing to her that my son hasn't already done or that they both won't be using. So that is it. That is the process of basically dumping out all my thoughts onto paper, and I have a list in front of me now for the summer of things that I know I need to accomplish and work towards, and it is always awesome when I get to check something off. I'm going to double check my work, make sure I have everything, because the last thing I want is to get into the school year and see that I have missed something. All right, so let's jump back into the planner. Okay, I should mention that I did not mention in the video, for this calendar from Time and Date, I do not highlight an entire year at a time. If I learned anything last year, things can change. What I do is, so we do 6-week terms. We will do 6 weeks and then we will take a break. We'll take a week off and then we'll do another 6 weeks. So what I do is I decide on what our first day of school is, and then I put a little 1 here next to the first week, and then I count the weeks out with a break, and then I keep going in pencil next to the weeks, and then every 6 weeks I give ourselves a break. Unless plans change, we usually do not go through longer than 6 weeks. We will take that 1 week off and then start up again. Last year we had a couple unexpected travel plans and things like that, so we did skip our break to get caught up on time, but I don't, knock on wood, foresee that happening this year. So that is how I do the whole year. I just do 1 week at a time when I am actually highlighting. So I don't know if you can see the numbers here next to it, but that is just what I expect to take. So here we have our curriculum. Now what I will do is I will take my brain dump notebook now that I have the curriculum planned out, and I will write down everything that we are doing, and I will write down how many weeks of the year that it is expected to take. So I'm going to go ahead and write down all of this here, and this will be my list of things. I know I could come back to this original list that I made, but because that's all the possible curriculum that I had for last year, I'm just going to make a clear list here. So one thing that I didn't mention when I was making that video about the curriculum is I have already gone through all of the curriculum. I have read the introductions. I have seen what I will need, and things like that. So I know basically what we're going to need for it when I write that list. If you want, you could pull out all of your curriculum, but I'm not going to have a whole stack of books next to me to do that. I find working from a list easier. So don't mind all of my abbreviations. It's just easier that way. Instead of writing every curriculum out. Okay, so artistic pursuits, Spanish, ASL, and then for my daughter, it's really Pinwheels, year 1. She's got the same Explode the Code, Exploring the World Through Story. She has Math with Confidence, Mathematical Reasoning, Life of Fred. So all of the rest of this stuff is the same. So I will just write down here how many weeks that we're going to be doing it. So Explode the Code is going to be a Friday thing. Exploring the World Through Story, we have 12 units in this before we get into the new one, so I'm going to put this as a 36 week. We have 12 units left of level A before we get into level B, and I would like to get into level B relatively quickly, so I'm going to put that as 36 weeks. Math Mammoth, that's math. We want that for 36 weeks. Mathematical Reasoning, we have Fridays. Life of Fred, we have Fridays. BFSU, I have that planned out for 16 weeks. Exploration Education is 36 weeks. Nature Study, we've got 36 weeks. USVI is 36 weeks. Museum Project is 36 weeks. Critical Thinking is going to be on a loop schedule, and that is just whatever, so Heart and Mind, same thing. Artistic Pursuit, I'm honestly not sure. But we only plan to do this one book in the year, and I know that we have plenty of space in the year, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I have decided that we are going to do ASL and Spanish separately. There's 2 different semesters of ASL, so that's 16 weeks total. We have 8 weeks. so we'll say 16 weeks of ASL. And then, so 30 minus 16 is 20, but let's just do 18 weeks of Spanish. We have Pinwheels year 2, that's gonna be, or year 1, that's gonna be 36 weeks, and Math with Confidence is gonna be 36 weeks. Okay, so this helps me when I plan out the term at a glance, because I know that, oh, and then we are also doing a weather unit study, which is going to be, right now I have 9 weeks. So we have BFSU and it's 25 weeks. And we can add BFSU if we want. The weather unit study, we are not starting right off the bat. We're gonna wait probably a couple weeks into the school year. So that'll make a difference when we do our term planning. All right, so I know that Pinwheels is going to be daily. Explode the Code is going to be Friday. Exploring the World Through Story, I want to do 2 times a week. Math Mammoth is going to be daily. Mathematical Reasoning is going to be Fridays. Life of Fred is Friday. BFSU is going to be, or Science is going to be 1 time a week. Exploration Education is going to be 1 time a week. Nature Study 1 time a week. USVI 1 time a week. Museum Project twice a week. Critical Thinking is going to be on a loop. That's going to be part of our brain block. Heart and Mind, same thing, brain block. Artistic Pursuit is Friday. Spanish, I would like to do Spanish, something on our Spanish loop daily. ASL is going to be daily when we get there. Same thing as Spanish, we will do something to practice it. Pinwheels is going to be daily. Math with Confidence is daily. And our weather unit study is going to be 1 time a week. All right, so let me go ahead and flip this over so that I have it all broken down. I have translated everything over. I made this list a little bit earlier just to help me out in this video, but I have what I want on a loop schedule, which is going to be 1 time weekly. We have what we're going to be doing weekly, which is 1 time a week, which is the science, my son's exploration education, and the VI history. We have the museum project, which will be twice weekly. And then we also have, what else? 2 times exploring the world through story. So those are going to be 1 to 2 times a week. And then we have our daily, and then we have our Friday schedule, which is a different schedule. All right, so now it's really just a matter of taking a blank sheet of paper, and I have our loop schedule. We're going to do 30 minutes. 30 minutes, an hour for science. Museum project is going to be an hour. Education, 30 minutes for that. Exploring the world, we're going to say 30 minutes. Daily, that's going to be our core schedule. So we have 1 hour per child. And then Spanish, we'll put 30 minutes a day. So language is going to be 30 minutes a day. All right, so we know we have 30 minutes. We have an hour for weather, an hour for museum project. So that's basically history and social studies that I've delegated an hour for. Our core block, and then Spanish is another 30 minutes. Here we have our weekly schedule. So over here, to basically translated that list that we made into a term schedule. So we have all of our subjects up here, except I realized I forgot nature study. All right, so up here we have our subjects. Over here we have our term, so term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5, term 6, and the expected dates of those terms. Down here we have our read alouds. I am only doing 1 term of read alouds at a time. Last year I tried to plan out the whole year and that did not work. So all right, so I planned out, I'm not going to write down individually what we're going to be doing with these subjects per week, just know that I'm going to be doing it weekly. So with math, we have daily, Pinwheels daily, USVI weekly, Exploring the World Through Story weekly, Nature Study, Exploration Education. The museum project is going to be weekly 2 times. Our language, we are not starting in the first week. And then our art, we're not starting in the first week. We're going to kind of start to layer it in as the weeks go. If you remember, I did put 36 weeks. So these are the items that I put into the very first week. I knew we had to start in the first week in order to accomplish our goals of 36 weeks. The second week we're doing all the same thing, but we're going to add in Spanish. And then the third week we're going to be adding in our science. Now we are starting our nature study in the first week, and then we're also starting my son's exploration education, just because I know I wanted to do those things for 36 weeks. All right, back to the schedule. We're going to be doing, again, that plug and play. It's really just a puzzle trying to figure out, okay, we know we have so many things that we want to do for 30 minutes. We have our core. Friday is going to be separate, so don't pay attention to Friday. We have our SH block, which is science, social studies, and history. That's going to be science, our museum project, nature study, museum project, and then back to nature study. For our museum project, every country we're going to be doing an animal or a bird, so we're going to be having like a nature week, and that is going to be a museum project studying about animal or bird that week instead of doing our bird study for nature study. So we'll be studying an animal or bird from the country that we're learning about in our museum project. And then for our last block, we have Spanish. Forgot to put an N on there. I wish we were having a spa day on Thursday afternoon. But I have realized that we do a quick morning time in the morning. We do a subject like our Exploring the World Through Story or our Blame block. Well, we'll do something kind of light and gets us in the mood for school or our USVI. And then we jump into our core subjects, and then we'll go into something a little bit more hands-on or interactive. That's the word. So that is something that we do for fun after our core is done. And then for Spanish, it says 30 minutes, but a lot of this is going to be review. So let me go ahead and show you what I have for the brain block on loop, and then what I have for Spanish on the loop. Back here on the loop-de-loop schedule, for our brain block, we have creative problem solving, heart and mind, or handwriting. And then, so 1 week we will do a page from the creative problem solving. The next week we'll do a page from heart and mind. And then we'll do handwriting 1 week. We have a lot of handwriting in our pinwheels, so I'm not really worried about getting too much handwriting in, but I just put that in because we have our books from last year that I would like to finish. And then for Spanish, for our loop, we have videos, we have our workbook, we have YouTube channels that we watch, we have podcasts that we listen to, and then we also have our fairy tale storybooks that are written in Spanish. It's a bilingual book. So we will do one of these on a loop. And I plan to do a whole video on our language loop because we have a number of resources, and for the most part, all of this is under $20 or free. So I definitely want to do a video on that. Okay, so that is our weekly schedule, Monday through Thursday. And then for Friday, we have Life of Fred. We have our Explode the Code. Friday is our light day. Explode the Code, mathematical reasoning. We have artistic pursuits, and that is also for our museum project. We are going to be doing a big museum display craft for each country. So we are going to be doing artistic pursuits every week, except for the week that we are going to be building our craft for our museum project. So we will do something for art on Friday. And then here I have our journals, which is our Mom and Me journal, and that the kids can do anytime. I just have it on the schedules. So if we haven't done it for the week, they can pull it out and we will work on it on Friday or any time of the weekend. But I just want to make sure it's on the schedule so that we don't forget about it. So that is how we planned out our first term. I think it's going to be a really, really great term. I really think it's so important, and something that I learned from last year, that having this schedule is just going to really help me keep it simple and keep it focused. Like on Mondays, I only have to do these things. On Tuesdays, I only have to pay attention to these things. I know last year I really didn't have a schedule in my mind. I was like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But it wasn't written down. It wasn't simplified like this. And I think that this is going to really help me keep me focused and just keep it from getting overwhelming. I don't expect these things to take the time that I have allotted them, but the time is there if needed. So every day I have allotted out 4 hours. The only thing that I haven't planned out is my the kids' piano lesson. I want them to do, we're going to try out Hoffman Academy. I really want to get into our schedule and kind of see how the flow of things goes to kind of see where it would fall best in our schedule. I can't just say we're going to do it when we have time, because then we'll never do it. We definitely need to have it written down so I can look here and say, oh, Tuesdays we're going to have piano lessons, and we'll go to our keyboard and we will do our piano lesson. All right, if you guys have any questions on how I planned out the first term, if you think this is simple, if it's confusing, please let me know down below. If you have any tricks of your own, please let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.